Today we delve into the mystical world of Tess Whitehurst, a renowned spiritual author and teacher. Tess shares her profound insights on magical practices, mindfulness, and self-love. Discover how her journey has been featured on Bravo, TV's Flipping Out, and in publications like Writer's Digest, Spirit, and Destiny magazine. Learn about her wisdom circle, an online magical community, and explore her many books and gorgeous oracle decks. This episode promises to be captivating, a very captivating exploration of spirituality and personal transformation. Our topic today is mystical music, musings, and oracle's insight with the gorgeous Tess Whitehurst. We are both lucky enough to be published with Blue Angel Publishing. Hi, Tess. I'm thrilled to have you on Ask the Oracle podcast. Welcome, my love.
Suzy, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Beautiful. I'm so excited for our interview today because I love and adore everything you do. I'm so in alignment with everything. So I'm going to dive deep into these questions. And the first question I have for you is how do we embrace our power and beauty in midlife?
Oh, so you're asking this because I have a book recently that just came out called Radiant, Embracing Your Power and Beauty at Midlife. Thank you for asking. Well, so I just think it's such an interesting journey because we do in our culture have such a focus on youthfulness. So to get to midlife, we are required to go through one kind of mental sort of refurnishing or another. We have to frame things in a different way, one way or another. So to choose to do so in a positive way is important. I think we to make that choice to instead of to think, oh, well, my days of enjoyment are over. I should just sort of settle into the,
I should be age appropriate.
Yeah, we could do that. Or we could look for all of the many, many, many blessings there are at this time of our life. We can live, we can throw off those illusions. We can say all of those illusions that we lived under for so long about how we're supposed to look a certain way to get love and acceptance. I mean, they were never true. They were never true.
I know. How true is that?
Yeah. And so it becomes easier to see that. And then there are so many, just like we're wiser now. Our lives have taken shape. We've learned how to be, we often have learned how to be kinder to ourselves. And if we haven't, this is a wonderful time to do that. And even our hormonal changes for many of us support independence. They support us in shifting our focus to taking care of ourselves, loving ourselves, and prioritizing ourselves. So we can still support our loved ones. Of course, we will still want to do that, but we can do it from a place of self-love, self-kindness, self-care.
That is so beautiful. What a great answer. I think we should be celebrating the rites of passage for women. And I think the way you explained that is so wonderful because it got to a point where women of a certain age were invisible, like on morning television, that there'd be these gorgeous 30-year-old women and these, 55-year-old men, I just love that. I know in, my creations, I try and incorporate women of all different sizes, ages, cultures. I think it's so important. And I just love that we're healing that, crone, wise woman, crone as in crown of wisdom, wisdom of age, and beauty at any age. I love that so much. So what a great way to start the podcast. So great, so juicy. I love it. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that there is an added beauty to women at midlife, just like men. With men, there can be a And not in the traditional sense of beauty, but just in looking at someone and seeing their soul and seeing how interesting they are and seeing that they're how multifaceted and deep and intriguing they look. And, it's like, it seems like our culture can do that with men, but I think it's a time for us to reclaim that for women and people of all genders as well.
Absolutely. Well, I know I'm embracing my beautiful silver hair. I'm not quite there yet. I've got the, but I'm
Did you
on my
just start?
way. I've
Oh, it's so
started.
fun.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
I
so
have been
fun.
loving it. Yeah, I just finally cut off the ends of my
Look at
dye maybe
yours. Yours is
like a year ago.
gorgeous.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I have really been loving having the silver hair. I mean, it grows out of our hair silver. It grows out of our head silver, and we've been covering it
Yeah,
with dye. And it's
I
just like,
know.
why are we doing this? It's so beautiful. I mean, no judgment if people still
No
continue
judgment.
do
Yeah.
whatever you want to
Whatever
do for
floats your
sure.
boat. Yeah,
But when I see
exactly.
the sparkles in the
Oh, the
mirror, I'm
sparkles.
dazzled.
Yes.
I'm dazzled by my hair every day.
Almost like those beautiful moonbeams or, the
Yes.
silver threads from the cosmos or something. I love
Yes.
that.
Me too.
Yes. So, my love, yeah. What inspired you to journey into magical practices and spirituality? Is this something you've been doing since you were a small child, or is this something that has happened later in life? I'd love to know, yeah, how that all
Yeah.
came about. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious if you've had a similar experience. To me, it has been my whole life. It just got to be at a certain point that I started to realize that's what it was. Is
Yes.
that, do you
Yeah.
relate to that? It is like,
Exactly.
I,
I'm a
yeah,
reluctant psychic medium. So for years,
oh,
I was in the corporate space.
uh-huh.
I always did yoga and meditation and all sorts of things. But in saying that, yeah, anyway, it's a long story, but, at some point, I embraced it completely because, yeah, I had that kind of awakening, that dark night of the soul type experience. But I've always had this ability to see spirit in trees, in birds, in, those
Yeah.
beautiful glimmers and all of that. And yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And the feeling of interconnection, the feeling of, being outside and then a breeze comes or you just happen to notice the way a tree is moving or the sound of a bird and you feel this feeling. And that to me, that's something that's always been there that is transcendent and that it's kind of the essence of what I feel the magical path is. And it's connecting with other humans in a way that is transcendent. It's not just what they're saying or what they're doing or what I'm saying or what I'm doing. It's something
yeah,
other than that. Even, you could even think of small talk. Small talk is, if you think of it as just the information we're exchanging, then it's what's the point of it? But when you think of it as
exactly.
exchanging energy, connecting with someone, in a transcendent way, then everything becomes richer. It's like a three-dimensional, multi-dimensional existence. And so I have always felt that is just when I was in high school, I remember going to the library and trying to find spell books because we didn't have the internet. I mean, very few people did at that time.
Yes, yeah.
Find any. But then I went to a bigger city for college and I found some magic books in Barnes and Noble. And then I was like, yes, yes. So it started to have a name at some point, but it was always there.
Yeah, love that. Love that. So, can you share a practical tip for our gorgeous listeners to enhance, embrace, expand their intuition in daily life? Because you and I have this in common.
Mhm,
I've noticed that you weave magic and intuition into your everyday. So,
mhm.
how would you can you share some practical tips in regards to that? Yeah.
Yeah. So with intuition, something that I really find to be so helpful when teaching people to trust their intuition, this comes from the spiritual teacher Denise Lynn, who I really admire. She I got this from her, maybe on her radio show or something like that, but I have taught it to many, many people. And it's to say to yourself, I know I don't know, but if I did know, what
Oh,
would it
I
be?
love that. Yeah,
Yeah, because then it's like it removes that, we learned in school there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. And if
exactly.
and you either know what it is or you don't know what it is. And
Yeah.
that's just not how intuition works. And and also, you may know it to be aware, you may know it in a number of ways. Like you may see a picture in your mind, you may get a feeling, you may even like have a sort of a phantom smell. You may just some kind of something beyond could come through one of the five senses or be some kind of combination of them, or it could be an emotion or a sense. Sometimes it's just a knowing. It's interesting to me when it comes through like that, like, oh, I just know something about this person and I just know it. I don't know why, but I just know that they, are from a certain region or just something that's there that I know about them, what they do for a living or some kind of challenge they've had in the past or something like that. But so you learn how to have this multifaceted way of communicating with the divine or the transcendent, knowing that it can come through many avenues, but also that I know I don't know, but if I did know, what would it be? And you could practice with your dreams too. If you have a dream and you're like, oh, that was such a weird dream. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Then you could say, oh, but if I did know though, so it's hard to guess, what would it be?
Yes. I love that, that inquisitive, ask a question, receive an answer. It's kind of like psychic discernment, isn't it? Where we don't have to be black or white about things. Everything, it's not even grey, it's rainbow coloured, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and trusting in those inner knowings and those, opening up all your psychic senses and not questioning how you receive beautiful kind of messages. That's so great.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And just being, aware and present and open. And yeah, I love that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
oh, sorry, I was just going to add that made me
yeah.
think of you could also play with tarot or oracle cards in a way where before you look at the book, before you turn to the page in the book, you look at the picture and you just notice the picture and you notice what stands out to me about this picture. How does it make me feel? What little details, what story would I tell about it? You just kind of tune into all the different ways that and in that way, it's sort of like appreciating art, which is deep. It's not just like, oh, I
Yes.
see this art and I'm going to write a paper about it. It's like you feel it in all of these multifaceted ways. And so that's why Oracle decks and tarot decks are so powerful, because you can start by just looking at the picture and being like, what does this feel like to me? What is it? What colors stand out? What feelings stand out? And that would be another example of tuning into your intuition and practicing with it.
Oh, I love that. I think, that oracle card art is so, is full of so many symbols, and then intuitively interpreting those symbols and just making it really relevant to where you're at, and,
Yeah.
diving a bit deeper. And of course, the beautiful generic meaning might be, on point, but a lot of the time it's about, just kind of like, yeah, opening up to, the depth in the actual words, in whatever pops out. It could even be a color,
Mhm.
what color pops out, or what. And I love that you explained, the feeling of it. What are you sensing,
Mhm.
sensing your way forward.
Yeah.
Yay, love it. So good. Yeah. So
Yeah,
my
even
love, yeah,
oh, sorry. I was
that's
just gonna
okay.
say the words, speaking of the words, and when you're reading too, the Oracle decks,
Yes.
words, once you do read them, have you had this experience where it's like one sentence is like, whoa, it just resonate. You read the whole thing, but one sentence is like this deep echo. You're like, oh, that's where the wisdom is. So
Oh,
you could pick
absolutely.
up on that
Yes.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, you open the guidebook and all of a sudden there's just this affirmation or this one sentence or, um, something, it really feels like it actually pops out from the page,
Yes.
like
Yes.
everything kind of falls back and this one particular sentence or chapter or whatever it might be
Yeah.
does come forward, and that's usually significant and meaningful to your own journey as well. So oh, that's such a great thing to kind of point out, because I think it's important to really trust in your own intuition and to open up to, whatever way spirit decides to talk to you. And often
Hmm.
it is through a song or a number plate or a guidebook or whatever it might be. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
And if anyone is listening and you're like, oh, that doesn't happen to me, I don't look at words and they don't, when I look at words, they don't stand out like that or whatever. It's like, just start to be more sensitive and notice when you think, hey, maybe that sentence feels significant to me. I don't know, but it kind of does. What if
Yes.
that were the message? So at first it can feel like I do tell people it can feel like it's your imagination at first. And then the
Yes.
more you start to trust it, the more you know that it's well, in a way it's not, but in another way, your imagination is part of the lens through which you see, through which you gain the psychic and intuitive insight. It kind of is your imagination, but the imagination has a lot of information for you that is
Yes.
valuable.
Oh, yes, so true. Like the third eye chakra, that's where we dream, that's where we imagine, that's where we get our creative insights,
Yeah.
but it's also our intuition too.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, absolutely. So, you know, um, I love that intuition comes through our physical senses, even our physical body, like the spidey sense and the
Yeah.
gut feeling and starting to really listen to the wisdom of your own body as well.
Yes.
Yay. Yeah. Yeah. So good. Yeah. Beautiful. Now, I know that I've noticed that you are very much into feng shui. So, how can feng shui and clutter clearing impact one's mental and emotional well-being? I thought that was a good question that we could both kind of dive into. Yeah.
Yeah. So our environment we are so connected to our environment. It mirrors us, but it also um, holds things in place. So we can learn, it could be like a diagnostic tool, but then we can also work by changing it in order to change our inner experience and outer experience. So the home is an extremely powerful magical tool. When there's clutter, and I like to start with clutter. When there's clutter in the home, there's going to be clutter in the mind. There's going to be
Yeah.
overwhelm. It's going to be hard to find. If it's a lot of clutter,
Yes.
then it will
Yeah.
be hard to find the time to do the things you want to do or have the clarity to focus on them. Um, and when the clutter is cleared, and many of your listeners probably have had this experience, the time there's it feels like time is different. It feels like suddenly you have more time. But literally, not just like, oh, now
Yeah.
I don't have to spend all my time looking for my keys or whatever. Yes, that's part of it, but it actually feels like there's more time in the day. I think it's
Yeah, it
something about
does.
time and space being related, some
Yeah.
kind of relativity quantum thing, but it's real.
Yeah. I love that.
So people say, oh, I don't have the time to clear all my clutter. Well, yeah, you don't. But once you clear your clutter, you'll have way more time. So you have to kind of figure out a way to prioritize it, even if it's doing 15 minutes a day. I know Marie Kondo says do it all at once, and that's the only way to do it. That I disagree with that. I think if you have 15 minutes, set the timer for 15 minutes and just clear. It's also a good way
Yes.
to get started, as if you feel overwhelmed, like I can't clear all of this stuff. Well, can you just clear one cupboard? Can you clear for 5 minutes? Because every time you clear, you create more energy, you get more unstuck, you have more clarity. So just increments work as well. So that's one example. But also, there's a thing called the bagua. Do you know what this is?
No. Tell
Oh,
me.
okay. Well, I would need to tell your listeners either way. So the bagua is And you may know what this is. You may just not know the name of it. It's the feng shui floor plan. So it's like the 9
Oh,
life
yes. No, I do
areas.
know that.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah. So
love
there,
corner in your bedroom and
yes,
yes,
exactly.
where
So
your door is
there's 9 life areas. It's kind of like a tic-tac-toe board that you would draw over the floor plan of your house. And it is based on a mathematical construct called a magic square, the square of Saturn, because there's a number associated with each of the boxes and they all add up to 15 no matter which way you do it. But then the numbers are also correspond with a certain area of nature, like in the I Ching. And so it's really so magical. But if you discover your bagua, which I have a post on my website that can lead you through it, how to draw the bagua. You could Google that, how to draw your
Oh,
bagua, or
fabulous. I'll be
search it.
looking that up. Yep.
Yeah, search it on my blog.
Yep.
But it will show you, you can look, you discover, oh, this is my relationship corner, this is my wealth and prosperity corner, this is my family area. And then you can see what's there and what pictures are there, what imagery is there. That imagery is another example is what image you could just look at the imagery you have on your wall, anywhere and ask yourself, what story is this telling me? What feeling does it give me?
Oh,
And
how
that's going to
important
be
is that? Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be in your life somewhere because that's in
Yeah.
your house and you're seeing it all
Yes.
the time. And there are many reasons why that's there. It's like a resonance thing. You chose
Yeah.
it, but it's also now giving you messages, but also for whatever reason it's there. So, but then if you also know your bagua, then you
Yes.
know, okay, this not only is this image giving me messages and holding a certain energy in place in my life, it's in this particular life area. So it can be a wonderfully eye-opening, powerful thing to first discover what's going on in these areas, but then make positive changes in them. And I find it to be so comforting to work in the physical world. I'm a Virgo. What's your sign, Suzy?
Piscean. I'm
You're a
Pisces.
Pisces.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a Virgo, working in the physical world feels really native to me to be like, I just know that if I clean my house and clear my clutter, I'm going to feel better. I just know I will. And from there, we'll see what I feel like doing after that. If I could do
Yes.
that, then I'm going to do that. And it feels like a powerful and magical thing. I also like the interweaving of practical things with magic and spirituality. That to me feels like the power spot.
I love that so much. I have to tell you a funny story. I had some art in my bedroom, and it was this beautiful kind of French art, this French woman, and she's kind of looking over her shoulder like this, like.
Mm-hmm.
And an artist friend of mine who's also very spiritual, she said to me, "What art have you got in your bedroom?" And I explained to her, I said, "I've got this beautiful French art of this woman looking over her shoulder, like. And the first thing she said to me was, "Well, that's not very good for your relationship. They need to go." And I got the most beautiful art from her, and it's the two lovers, you know, entwined, in this beautiful kind of gorgeous embrace. And I'm thinking, and then you start to notice the energy within the bedroom as well, right? So because it's not that kind of aloof, distant, muse,
Mm-hmm.
it's more of the couple coming together. So when you were explaining that, I thought that's what sort of came to mind for me.
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I love that you believe in practical magic, because I believe that we need to anchor that multidimensional magic into the here and now. And the best way to do that is physically as well, too. So, and I know I feel better. I love beauty, and I love, I feel better when I've, cleaned out the wardrobe, or, cleaned the house. And to me, it is physical, but it's so energetic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh,
and even
yeah.
doing an energetic clearing too, with beautiful fragrant smoke and powerful prayer, and beautiful kind of affirmations and things. So we definitely have that in common. But I love that spiritual science of, it's actually based on, a mathematical kind of natural kind of magic type. What did you call it? The square or something? What was it?
It's the Bagua,
The Bagua.
Bagua. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So good. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for asking.
Okay. So I really love that you talk a lot about self-love. because, I've been doing readings for, over 25 years, and often it always sort of seems to come back to how do you feel about yourself, right? So
Yeah.
what role does self-love play in spiritual growth and, that transformation, that healing kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I think for so many of us that are intuitive, empathic, drawn to the spiritual path, we are wounded. Now, I would say so many people in general have wounds and psychological, emotional trauma. Um, it's a thing a lot of us share, but I would say especially those of, I mean, I don't know if I would say especially, but I would say a large percentage of those of us who are drawn to alternative spirituality, magical
Yeah.
spirituality, we're healing something pretty painful usually.
I think
So,
I think you're spot on. I've noticed it.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we are, it's like a instinct to heal ourselves and we
Yes.
feel drawn toward things that we might, it's really a positive instinct to heal ourselves. And so I think a big part of that is our self-worth. So for so many of us, our self-worth was eroded in some way. Maybe we didn't feel safe. Maybe challenging things happened in our childhood and we thought it was our fault. Maybe someone actually said it was our fault or blamed us for things that were out of our control. There can be abuse, there could be all number of challenging things that happen, but they take a toll on our self-esteem. And I will say that it feels to me, sometimes I feel like I'm doing really great with it. And then other times I'm like,
It's that
like I
ever
thought it
evolving
was,
healing journey. It's not like we
yeah,
ever really arrive, is it? So,
exactly. It's a spiral.
yeah.
I always say that it's a spiral. Um, we don't have to think, oh, I'm going backwards, but maybe something else is coming up to be healed. There's a
Yes,
new level we can evolve
exactly.
into. But yeah, it does feel
Yeah.
like uh, a long path.
Yes, totally. I know that I've done so much healing on my own childhood, and you do that thing where every now and again you might be triggered and you'll go, oh, hang on a minute. That's not fair. I've dealt with that. I've done that much work. You know
Yeah,
how spiritual people say that?
totally.
Why is that
Yeah,
popping up again? I've done the work on that, right?
yeah.
So, but in saying that, yeah, it's that, as I said, that, ongoing healing journey that we all go on. And,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's an amazing thing that it's, layer upon layer, layer upon
Yeah,
layer. Yeah.
yeah. And I will say, it was a good number of years ago now. I don't know, maybe it was like 5 years ago or something, but I discovered the book Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff, Dr. Kristen Neff. I think that's a great example of how it's tools. It's not necessarily like, oh, see, now I'm all better. I have no pain left over from my past and I'm all healed, but I
Yes,
have more tools now. Now when I do feel triggered, I do feel
exactly.
in pain or afraid or old feelings come up from the past, I have more tools and I've practiced tuning into divine guidance. I've practiced being kind to myself. I've practiced taking care of myself. So yeah, I think that's a way to think of self-love is not necessarily like, I only have positive thoughts about myself now. It's like when negative or challenging thoughts come up, I have tools.
Yes, exactly. Like, reframing those past hurts, those, negative, you know, negative mantras that we tell ourselves, or, you know, yeah, the limiting beliefs or whatever it is, we get better at reframing and, and doing what we need to do to
Mhm,
get back on track a bit quicker. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I've done, I don't know how many healing modalities over the years, and I love that you've explained that, it is about, having that toolbox of healing, and healing's, a natural process anyway. So, we're born to regenerate, we're born to heal. But I think to have those practical ways of getting back on track a bit quicker is really wonderful. So yeah, I'm glad you kind of really explained that. Yeah. So powerful, powerful stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and even feeling like that nobody is all healed. It's like to
Yes.
kind of have this sense of oh, there's some pain there,
Yes.
and that's a feeling that humans have. And
Yes.
let me give myself some love and compassion and kindness, and just know that that's just kind of part of the path.
Yes. And, the pain, you know, can be the portal for deep self compassion,
Yeah,
compassion for
exactly.
others. Even as a
Yes.
psychic, it gives you a deeper understanding, because when you've
Yes.
had that lived experience, I think it does make you wiser. It does make you, um, it gives you that really strong empathy. It's helpful. So, even when I to, connect to someone or whatever it might be, and spirit might show me, what pain they're in, I often say to spirit, thank you so much for showing me that. Can you take it away though? Because I don't necessarily want to sit in their pain, right? But,
Yeah.
it's a gift because it does tend to, yeah, I don't know. Do you feel the same way? It's like a deepening or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And that's what I think allows artists to create beauty. I mean,
Yes.
that's like there was something that Khalil Gibran wrote in his book The Prophet about the deeper pain carves into your being, the more capacity you have for joy. So it's something
Oh, wow.
that was a
Love
paraphrase, but
that. Yeah.
yeah, but it's so true that is. So when we're brave, and it's all connected, it's like when we're brave enough to live with an open heart, to meditate and then breathe consciously and feel all the emotions that come up, the many emotions, many of which are painful, that that is connected to being able to feel our joy. You can't
Yes.
really have one without the other.
Yeah.
So learning to be with that, learning to be brave enough to feel that, that's part of our path.
Exactly. I love that. Now, I know that I've noticed that you weave and incorporate beautiful kind of rituals and magical practices and all of that. Can you explain the significance of that in your in your life? Because, I get this very strong sense that you walk your talk and you kind of, you weave your magic as well, Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that when we live in a way, in a real grounded way, I mean, to the extent that we feel like it, sometimes you may feel like doing more rituals than others, but
Yeah.
I think we can always, water our garden with love for our garden and notice the sound of the birds and feed the birds and spend time with our animals in ways that feel transcendent. It's like whether or not you feel like you want to sit down and light a candle or put herbs into a little
Yes.
pouch.
I noticed that you use crystals and flowers and
Yeah.
herbs and,
Yeah.
yeah, I
I mean,
love
you may
that.
or may not want to do like a formal ritual, but you can, like I have crystals on my desk and I like to grab
Yes.
different ones and just have that feeling and just live in that way where it is, like you said, interwove, or you said weave. And I like to interweave because
Interweave. Yes.
yeah, because then it's not like I feel like I have to do a ritual in order to be I don't know, to be a good witch. It's like it's all life can be a ritual. And sometimes I
Yes.
do feel like doing rituals, but other times I feel like just living in a way that is conscious um and loving and present as best I can. And then, sometimes I binge watch things too. So we got to have a balance.
Yeah. That's right. So you've created this beautiful community, this wisdom circle. Can you explain your mission in regards to that?
Yeah, so this has been such a beautiful thing for me. It's since 2015. It was before Patreon existed. Once Patreon started, I was like, oh, that was the instinct I had, was to have a membership program of people who could meet. And so, but I started it before Patreon, but it's a thing where the thing that I like the most about it is on Tuesday nights we have it's called a web chat. We do a ritual, but we chat about various things and
Yeah.
we meet on, it used to be on Zoom. Now we do it on Crowdcast, but it's a wonderful way to meet with people all over the world to talk about magic and spirituality and do meditations and rituals. But we also have a Facebook group where we can chat during the week. And I have my membership program has access to my online workshops. It's just become a really cool community. I've done some retreats, but even the people I haven't met in person, many of them I feel like are my friends.
Yes.
So it's a really cool group. It's been a wonderful way to connect with readers and now people who have become my friends.
I love that global, like-minded,
I know.
love-hearted community,
Yeah.
where you get to talk about, you know, deeply magical things. And that's so beautiful. I love that you have that. Like, community is really important to me, and I just love that we have these sacred containers where we can fully share and be really authentic and come together. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
so lovely. I love that you
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, it's a really great thing about the internet. We have to remember with all of the challenging things about the internet, there are some really great things as well.
Now, I know that you've got the most amazing books and oracle card decks, and I just love that we share the same publisher. It's so amazing. Um, can you have you got any kind of new projects, upcoming projects, or books that you'd like to share that you're excited about as well? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so one that just came out is, well, I don't know how long this is until this episode drops, but it is September right now when we're recording this, and the Halloween Forever Oracle just came out, which is beautiful. It is illustrated by Jasmine Beckett Griffith, and it's so spooky and mystical. It's
I
like
love
little,
that art. Those
isn't
eyes,
it
you could just
so
get lost
pretty?
in those beautiful glossy eyes.
Yeah,
They're just
liquid.
so pretty. Yeah, and
I
so
know.
magical. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Halloween Forever Oracle, I do have the next one that's coming out is the Oracle of Daydreams and Moonbeams.
Oh,
And it's
beautiful.
illustrated by Jessica Von Braun and it is fairy tales. It is similar in a way to Jasmine Beckett Griffith's art because it feels very childlike and whimsical. But it is its own thing. Jessica Von Braun has definitely her own sort of vibe, but that one is very fun. And I don't know the order everything's going to come out, but I do have a number of things,
So
you know,
wonderful.
in
I
the
have to
in the pipe.
say, I absolutely adore Queen Mab.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely adore it. And we've got a gorgeous kind of global contact bookstore here in Australia. It's in Berry, New South Wales. And um, that's where I first saw Queen Mab, and just felt very drawn to it. I don't actually have it here at the coast. It's at my house in Canberra, but I'd love for you to share. I don't know. Have you got your Queen Mab cards there and your
Yes.
Halloween Forever cards
Yes.
there? And would you like to pull a couple of cards for our
Yes.
gorgeous listeners? Yeah.
Yeah, so I just drew from Queen Mab Oracle a queen in bondage. Now, let me tell your listeners, the Queen Mab Oracle, it's really beautiful art and it's very dark and
Shadowy, that beautiful shadow.
shadowy. Yes, that's a good way to
Shadowy.
describe it. Epic also. It's pretty epic.
Those shadow
And
sirens, queens, beautiful, gorgeous, deep.
yeah, and so Queen Mab is named after the fairy queen who also appears in Shakespeare. And so all of the titles of the cards come from Shakespeare. So a queen in bondage.
Oh,
Can't
do
tell you more.
they?
Yes, all
Yeah.
of the theme of the
Oh,
titles.
I
And
love
also
that. That's so original. Well done.
thank you. And but the wisdom of this deck was very clear. It gave me goosebumps when it came through. I want to say it was channeled, but I do feel like writing in general feels like I'm channeling divine wisdom. But this was felt like a very specific energy when I was channeling Queen Mab. So this is number 29. So I'll read it, and then you listeners can see what stands out to you when I'm reading.
Oh, I love
Liberate
that.
yourself from codependency or narcissistic control. That is the message. A person, group, or situation may be siphoning off your power. At first, this may have seemed like a desirable arrangement for you. Perhaps you were flattered by the attention, enraptured by the possibilities, or otherwise believed the relationship, collaboration, or agreement to be respectful, productive, or mutually beneficial. Alas, things were not what they seemed. Looking back, perhaps you can see there were warning signs. Whether you can or you can't, you must forgive yourself. No one escapes this life without, at one time or another, being disappointed or disillusioned. Berating yourself won't help. Neither will punishing yourself by remaining in chains indefinitely. Your best course of action involves 2 steps. First, admit you are in a bind. Then consider your friends, family members, and allies. Also consider others who might be able to assist you in getting out of the situation physically, mentally, or emotionally. Who do you know or who might you enlist to help unlock your chains and set yourself free? Ask that person or group of people for help. Do not omit the asking. No queen has ever defended her crown without the help of counselors, protectors, healers, and champions. And even queens take missteps or make choices they later regret. We all must be able to reveal our vulnerabilities to at least a trusted few so we can receive the support and guidance we need. Someone may try to convince you that you have an obligation to stay in this situation one more day or until some future event occurs or old debt is repaid. Do not believe this. You are a winged being by right, light, bright, joyful, and free, like a seagull in sunlight, designed to soar above the sparkling waves. Call your true nature back to you now. Invoke the support you need so you can step out of your bondage and fly.
Yes, that is so beautiful.
Isn't it?
Gorgeous
And the
writing, but so meaningful.
Oh, thank you. And so the
Yes.
image is of a beautiful queen in chains with seagulls behind her. And there's the hint that she has wings. So it's interesting this card came up because it did occur to me when we were having that conversation about learning to love yourself and in a way that it's like tools to take care of yourself, even if you don't always have positive thoughts about yourself.
Yeah.
It crossed my mind to say this, but I didn't. And I wonder if this is because many of your listeners or some of your listeners might need this message, but crossed my mind that, one example is that in the spiritual path, we might think, oh, I need to learn how to set boundaries. I need to set boundaries. And then we might think, oh,
Exactly.
there's a perfect way to do that all
Healthy
the
detachment, set healthy boundaries. Yeah, I
And
think
we
we've
do,
all,
and it's
yeah,
true.
yeah,
But I think when we make it into like there's a right and a wrong way to do that, and I need to know the right way all the time, or else I failed. That
yeah.
that would be an example of setting yourself up for disappointment because
Yes, yes,
all of our relationships, we're
yeah,
always negotiating boundaries in all
yeah,
our relationships. And we will always there will always be times when we're like, oh, okay, that my boundary got crossed there and I didn't set it well. And so that's good information. Moving forward, I will set that boundary, so it would be an example of how to learn how to have an attitude of forgiveness, learning as you go, realizing that's just part of the path, so that then you can set the boundary without just, criticizing yourself for not doing it sooner.
Oh, yeah, the beating yourself up because it's like, here we go again. I
Mm-hmm.
thought I'd kind of
Yeah.
set good boundaries and here I
Yeah.
am back here again. That's
Yeah.
that self-punishment, that beating yourself up. And, I love that you said, I don't know, you can kind of revisit that and, your boundaries can be flexible and it's okay to go, oh, I need to reestablish that or whatever it might
Mhm.
be. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
The
and we don't,
flexibility, yeah.
yeah, and we don't, when we get to know somebody, we don't know them yet. So if we just, right out of the gate, set up all the boundaries, then we won't get to know them. So sometimes
Yes.
boundaries have to get crossed just to get to know somebody. Then you're like, oh, okay, that's a person that I need to set that boundary with. Now I know,
Yes.
So
Yes.
just having that attitude towards yourself of, okay,
Yeah.
now that's good information. Let's just, from where we are now, let's move forward. And
That is so
if,
self-loving and
oh,
so self-forgiving and also, yeah, just, being a bit kinder to self along that journey as well, because you're quite right. You don't Yeah, I don't know. I love that, like sensing your way forward and establishing boundaries as you need to and that type of thing. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah,
and anytime you set yourself up for this, I have to do it perfectly or I've failed, that it's just that's not going to work because that's just not how we are and that's not how life works.
exactly. Love that. Beautiful. So, how do the listeners connect with you, gorgeous, magical woman? Like,
Oh, thank you. So my website is tesswhitehurst.com, TessWhitehurst.com. And from there, you can also find my Instagram, which is Tess4444, and my Facebook, which is Tess Whitehurst Author. So those would be some ways to connect with me. There's also a contact form on my website if you want to send me a message.
love that. And of course, all of that will be in the show notes. But, thank you so much for pointing us in the right direction. Um, I've absolutely loved today. You're an incredibly magical, beautiful way shower. So thank you so much for coming on Ask the Oracle. It's been an absolute delight. I hope we get
I
to do
have
this
loved it.
again. I hope
Yes,
we get to
thank
do
you
this
so
again.
much.
Thank you
Me
so
too.
much. Bye, lovely.
Bye.
Bye for now.